Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Karl Sprague. I'm from Xeridiem Medical Devices, and I'm so honored to be here today to be able to share with you one of the cool technology devices that we've been able to develop over the last year. We were able to work with this with Carbon Design Group for clear catheter systems. It's called the PleuraFlow clearance system, and I'm just excited to be able to share that with you today. I hope everyone's having a good show so far. I've seen that there's a lot of great technologies that have been developed over the past few years, and we're excited to show you this today. So I don't know if everyone knows about Xeridiem Medical Devices. We were formerly MRI Medical. We're located in Tucson, Arizona, and for the last 26 years or so, we have been developing different gastroenterological devices, urology type devices, so feeding tubes or drainage catheters or temperature sensing Foleys. So those devices will typically have a balloon on one end to help anchor the device into a patient, and then have ports on the other end of the device. The ports will be for feeding or for drainage or to deliver medicines. But really in the last 5 to 10 years, we've developed a new business unit that has brought some new emerging technologies into our house. And what we've been able to do is help design, develop, and then ultimately do manufacturing for these devices. Over the past few years, we've specifically developed an atrial fibrillation device that uses a minimally invasive catheter to help treat that. We've also developed a cancer therapy device for treatment of brachytherapy. And then we've also helped advance BPH treatment by using an RF antenna incorporated into a catheter device. And last year, we helped develop this PleuraFlow active tube clearance system. So here's a picture of the interior of it, and we'll get more involved of what's happening behind the scenes in this presentation. So this presentation is going to be a little bit different than some of the other tech briefs, is that I'm going to be presenting some of the interesting technology that's inside of this device, so that hopefully you'll be able to take this back to the office and with either your design challenges that you have or the challenges that you have with your different processes or machining or equipment, hopefully you'll be able to incorporate some of what you see here. So this was a really interesting project for us because we were able to help develop this device where there's it's just very rare to have a big unmet need such as what this device will help for the doctors, for the nurses, for the patient, and for it to be financially feasible and to reduce the overall cost of healthcare for this procedure. So this device is used for post-thoracic surgery, and having a chest procedure, whether it's for atrial fibrillation, for a heart attack, for a valve replacement, or anything for a heart and lung procedure, that's going to be the most significant event, one of the most significant events that's going to happen in your life. So this device helps post-treatment the patient help recover and drain out the fluids and help the patient recover. So if anything goes wrong with this device, the patient will have to go back into the OR and have a new drainage catheter inserted when here they already went through the initial procedure of the heart or lung surgery. So let's take a look at what some of the complications are with the current technology. So the current technology of drainage tubes, they really do clog a lot. So what you see here, is a catheter drainage system that's just fully clogged, the whole diameter. Here shows a catheter system that's clogged the length of the whole device. So these catheters are inserted up into the chest area, and this is what we're looking at. When this device is used, it's used to try to drain out the blood that is collecting. It will be used to drain out any kind of pussy materials that will collect in the body. So the tubes that are currently used right now, they pretty much pick out the largest size tubes. that they could find. So they'll pick out 36 French plus. So there'll be a ½ inch diameter up to an inch diameter. They're really called garden hoses. And not only will they use the largest tube, they'll place more than one because they know, well, if one will clot, one will clog up, instead of bringing the patient into a procedure to replace and put in a new tube, maybe a second one will stay patent and stay clear for them to still use, which is so strange because for medical devices, I mean, we're always looking for the smallest possible tube that we could have. So we're always talking in thousandths of an inch, and here this one's like a ½ inch to an inch in diameter. Okay, sorry about that. So there was a video that I really wanted to show that shows the usage of this device. So a standard chest drainage tube will just be a large garden hose like this. That'll get connected up to a drainage canister. So you see all of the fluid already collecting up in the thoracic area. Now this is how the PleuraFlow device will connect to the drainage tube and the drainage canister. That gets connected in line, so it's a closed system. Did you see the wire? The wire advanced forward to the end of the chest drainage system so that if a clot forms, normally if that clot forms, the nurses, the doctors, they'll have to use like a milking or a stripping technique where, I mean, they have nothing else to be able to get that blood through or blood out. You don't want to disconnect the system and try and fish it out because you don't want to expose anyone to that blood. So they would try and pinch with their fingers and create like a milking, like just like a temporary vacuum to try and suck out the blood or the clot. But with this device, it uses that wire that has a loop on the end of it, and it pulls the clot to the vacuum, the stronger vacuum area, and it drains the rest of the way. If the patient sees more drainage collect up, another clot, they can clear it away with the handle. So this shows a little bit more of what's going on. When that handle gets advanced forward, you saw the wire with the loop get advanced forward to the end of the tube. When that clot forms, you pull the handle back and it removes the rest of the clot. Opens up the tube and keeps everything free. Okay, so looking at the PleuraFlow design evolution, if it weren't for Dr. Ed Boyle at Clear Catheter System, none of this design, none of this device would have even been created. He came to us with a pretty rough prototype. It was the prototype that's on the left, where it's a tube where the wire, so the wire with the loop would be down through the center of this tube. You need to connect that wire somehow to be able to make it travel. And how we had it in the early prototype is that you would have it connected to the handle, the drive handle, in gray. But to do this, it was a physical connection. So we needed to have this tube, the PVC tube, with a slit all the way down so that you could have communication between the wire and the handle. If you have this, then you're exposing everybody to the blood of the patient because now you have an open system. So that's why we have this loose plastic sleeve all the way around it. But what's going to happen once you turn the vacuum on? By having that open slit tube with a loose, flimsy sleeve, all of that vacuum just sucked down the sheath right onto the tube. So then you couldn't move the handle at all. It basically would just get stuck on itself. So that brings us to the bellows concept, the second design. This bellows, it's kind of like an accordion that would be made of silicone. It's a stronger walled silicone so that when you turn the vacuum on, that won't collapse down onto the sleeve or onto the shaft. So it did solve that problem. You were able to move it a little bit easier, but it just wasn't an elegant solution. The final one that you had just seen is this magnetic drive system. So I highlighted that there's no slit on this one. You have a magnet on the outside and a magnet on the inside that communicate with each other. So this shows it a little bit better. So you have the wire on the inside, the handle is in gray on the outside. So those permanently have to touch each other, right, to be able to drive through. And the PVC tubing is in this blue color, and that has the slit So that has the slit right there. That was for all the previous concepts. With this concept, we have an internal magnet right here that communicates with this external magnet. So you have a magnet on the inside of this tube and a magnet on the outside of the tube. The magnet on the inside is anchored to the clearance wire. That loop, the wire that pulled the clot out, that's how that is controlled. The magnet on the outside, that's connected to the external handle. So it's probably going to be a little bit difficult to see, but this is roughly the wire. I just cut it for a sample. So this interior magnet with the wire would be about this long, have the loop on the end of it, and that's what would be shuttling in and out of the drainage tube. But just for demonstration purposes, it shows the interior magnet. On the handle, that's where the exterior magnet is. So that is it's big enough, it's able to fit over the PVC tubing. This magnet is able to fit inside the PVC tubing, and they couple together. So you have a magnetic attraction that couples them together. It takes a little bit of force to be able to decouple it, but we're just talking about a blood clot that it's able to stay in position so you see it travel. It doesn't fall out. So looking a little better at the interior, these are the interior magnets connected to this wire. So this wire right here goes all the way up through to where the wire loop is. The exterior magnets I was talking about, this is just a cross section. So those are round magnets embedded in this handle. When those are overlapping each other, you've got the magnetic attraction so that this PVC tube is in between them, but because of the magnetic attraction, you don't need the wire to pierce through and to have a slit in the tube. So this was a huge breakthrough. When we were in development for this device, you have to prove, is this really going to work? I mean, I don't know if anyone's ever worked with magnets on a disposable device before. This was my first time. You always brainstorm it and you always want to try to use it, but the fact that this really met the challenge that we had, we needed to prove, okay, is this going to be feasible? Will it be safe? Excuse me, and overall, is it worth the expense? So we did bench testing, animal labs, human trials, and this is actually an old slide. It's been out there for almost a year now, and it's proven the effectiveness of being able to unclog the chest tube. The ease of use, instead of having that sheath where it's really difficult to slide because of all the vacuum, or the nurses having to strip and milk the chest drainage tubes, this is an easy to slide handle. Solving new design hurdles, by using that magnetic drive system, that was a new challenge, but it gives us 100% clearance wire control. The safety of it, we did the full suite of biocompatibility tests. We CE marked it. We have a 510K. And yeah, like I said, we had done other animal labs. And this device is typically going to be used in patients for about 3 days. But we did implant tests for up to 3 weeks, just to have that overage to make sure it was safe. And we didn't quite talk about this as much, but to go back into the OR, if you would have a complication with this device to where they couldn't strip free the blood or the clot that would form in the tube, it would be a re-entry to the OR. They would have to put in a new tube, multiple new tubes. You'd have to bring in the whole OR team in, and that would be a significant expense. I mean, I put over $5,000. It really might be closer to $10,000, $15,000 just for that one procedure, just because of a drainage tube. I mean, here, again, they go in for a whole heart procedure or a lung procedure, but because of this drainage tube, everyone has to go back into the OR, not to mention the patient who's trying to recover. So, so having that large expense that the hospital could incur, this is a significant decrease in overall cost to the patient. I have European distributors are already on the waiting list. Again, this is an old slide. They're already purchasing it. And same as in the US and in Canada. So this device has been fun to be able to work with the team to develop. The European Association of Cardiothoracic Surgeons, they've recognized this device with an award. It won a Design Distinction Award from ID. the Medical Design Excellence Award. We've gotten gold recognition in the surgical products, and most recently we've been recognized in the R&D 100. I'm going to be picking up that award next month in Orlando. And that's across all industries for new products, and we're excited about that, to be in the top 100 category. So just to review some of the clinical advancements, I mean, we've got advancements and improvements for the patients, for the nurses, and the doctors, going from a 2 chest tube type system that's just ineffective down to a 1. The garden hose down to something that's much smaller, like a 20 French in size. We save about 40% of the original size, and it could be even more than that if they choose a larger initial drainage tube. For the nurses, instead of the stripping and the milking, they have an easy-to-use handle system. And for the doctor, there are no more 2 a.m. calls in the middle of the night where the nurses weren't able to take care of the patient, to where they have to come in and do a repeat surgery. So overall, from start to finish, from early concept through development down to final production, it's been a great project that we've been able to work through on, and it's been fun. So if you want to take a look at this device, I've got some up here, or we're located just right around the corner on the other side of this aisle at booth 2548. We'd love to talk to you about this development as well as some of the other developments and some of our capabilities that we have. So thanks for your time, and are there any questions? So the question is, well, what's the hope for this? Do we think it's going to be widespread across all hospitals? You know, the potential is there. I mean, with this device, we know that it will work from a functional standpoint and from the clinical standpoint. Right now, you know, if it's started at a few different hospitals or a few different practices, they'll see the huge benefit of it, and then we do expect it to grow. And we also see that, you know, between the different, I guess the overall market size, it's something that could just take off to where every chest procedure, something like this could be used for. Are there any other questions? Again, I brought some samples, and I even have like the full device if you want to take a look at it up here, and we'll have it at our booth if you want to check it out. So thanks a lot for your time.